But first, an Inside Edition investigation into the International Churches of Christ. It's a relatively new religion based in the States, but it's growing even here in traditional England. Many members say the church has saved their souls, but others have left the faith because they say they couldn't take the intimidation and deception. Here's Matt Mahar.
And they certainly have joined. The International Churches of Christ, or the Boston Movement as it is called, is one of the fastest growing religions in the world, mushrooming to 50,000 members in just 15 years.
It certainly helps me to live a kind of a life that's fulfilling.
They were able to show me through scriptures that my life just needed to be right.
Members believe in a strict interpretation of the Bible, and that anyone who isn't baptized into their church will go to hell.
Truly, we serve a great God.
40-year-old Kip McKean, who broke away from the mainline Church of Christ in 1979, is the founder and spiritual leader of the Boston Movement. McKean has vowed to evangelize the world in just one generation, but many members have fled the church, charging deception, manipulation, and mind control.
I didn't understand what was happening to me, and they took over my life.
They'll lie about your parents, they'll lie about your family, they'll lie about your girlfriend.
I eventually went through a series of studies and became a part of their group, and in the process I ended up giving up a scholarship at school.
These are just a few of some 60 former church leaders and members we spoke to from all over the country. They all accuse the church of using deceit, harassment, and intimidation to attract more and more members.
I can remember sitting in front of somebody's apartment at 3 o'clock in the morning, waiting for them to come in because I had to baptize that guy.
It is peer pressure that gets them in, not intellect.
Dean Robert Thornburg is a theologian at Boston University, one of at least 7 colleges where the church has been banned from recruiting students.
Have you been approached?
Yes.
He says church members lie to students, badger them to join, and then try to talk them into giving the church their tuition and book money.
They phone repeatedly and they put notes under the doors and they meet them in the food lines. And these students started by saying, this pressure is just too much, we can't take it.
According to Dean Thornburg, the pressure to remain a member is even worse.
They are told if they leave it, terrible things are going to happen to them. Their parents will die, worms will infest their body. Even when they have been out for a period of time, the sense of fear and guilt that grips the students is just unbelievable.
Some former leaders say the church instills guilt through something called a sin study, where prospective members are coerced into revealing their most personal secrets which are later used against them.
I can remember getting the information that was passed up the line, having printouts of hundreds and hundreds of people and all their intimate sins and all the details of their life. Real spiritual pornography.
Rick Bauer, a former leader in the church, says he was given this list of members in the Boston area. On it is personal information he says was taken from the sin study. Things like marriage week, homosexual problems, drug background.
It wasn't circulated. That was a list from one leader to another, and someone took the list and gave it to you.
Al Baird is an elder in the church and its official spokesman.
The things on this list should have never gone beyond the person who's discipling.
That's exactly the leader of that group. The leader of the group must know his people.
Oh, so the leader should know my sins.
No, not all of your sins, but he's got to know the sins that you're ongoing basis struggling with.
They will use those as threats in the most unconscionable way to keep a guilt hook into the folks that try to slip away.
We wanted to see for ourselves what the church tells new recruits. So producer Rich Slansker, carrying a hidden camera, joined the church in New York City. This man on the left, Scott McNair, was assigned as his discipler, someone who would teach him the ways of the church and interrogate him about his darkest sins.
There is nothing that you can confess or say that I haven't heard. I've done this study with many people, and I literally cannot sit here and tell you what one person has done. Is there anything when it comes to sexual morality that's on your conscience that you have done? Like I said, like bestiality or sex with
No, I've never
never had sex with men. I've never had bestiality. I mean, I've never done anything sexual that's out of the ordinary.
Like with family members,
No.
brothers or sister or aunts or uncles or anything like that.
Why would he ask him over and over again if he's ever had sex with men, with animals, with aunts and uncles, with his mother, with his father?
Because the
Why
Bible,
would he keep going back to
because
that?
the Bible teaches that those things are wrong.
They want to know the things that you're most ashamed of. They want to know that you're the weakest part of you, because then they grab hold of those things and they control you.
The members trying to disciple our producer called him twice a day. He was required to meet with them as many as 5 times a week. When he hesitated to join the church, they called him a wimp.
Making excuse after excuse after excuse.
This group is very good at browbeating people, and they do a lot of personal attacks on an individual for being weak or mama's boy, whatever it might be. Anything that they could use to get you to move the next step.
Arnold Markowitz is a clinical social worker for the Cult Hotline and Clinic in New York City.
They tell people to leave their husbands, leave their wives if they don't come into the group. They break up families, sever ties with the parents.
That's almost exactly what happened to our producer. He took someone purporting to be his girlfriend to a church meeting. After she expressed reservations about the church, he was told by this top leader to dump her. Our producer was also told he must break ties with his family.
You're thinking about your family in this world, but what about for eternity?
Our producer was told that his parents, the Pope, and even Mother Teresa would go to hell if they didn't join the International Churches of Christ.
According to what we've learned, what's going to happen to Mother Teresa?
Sure, how?
According to the Bible.
Was your discipler correct in telling our producer that Mother Teresa, the Pope, and his parents were going to hell if they didn't join the International Church of Christ?
Mother Teresa. I have never met the Pope. I'm not going to talk about someone I've never met.
Is it the official position of the church, your church, that there is no salvation outside your church?
There's no salvation outside the church of the Bible. We're trying to be the church
And
of
you
the
are
Bible.
the church of the Bible.
I firmly believe we're the church of the Bible.
My brother died when I was in the church. I had been in the church for a few months, and he died. And that was the only time that the woman leading the song called me, and she called me to say, "Well, I hope you understand that your brother's in hell right now." And that's all. That was the only time she ever called me, and that's what she had to say to me.
He was in hell because he wasn't in the church.
Right.
For every one negative person you produce, I can produce 10, 15, 20 positive people who will say the exact opposite.
Christina Stolper is just such a person. She has an MBA from Harvard. She's president of a small company and says the church has saved her marriage and enriched her life.
It is the best place to be, and I want everybody to do it. Not because I'm pressured, not because people are telling me to, but because my life has really changed.
The cost of evangelizing the world doesn't come cheaply. Missionaries are being sent all over the world to start new international churches of Christ. Members are required to contribute at least 10% of their weekly income and 16 times that amount twice a year for special contributions.
They encouraged me to go through medical trials at the local hospital, to give blood so you get paid, so you give it to the church.
I remember being told that I need to make this woman put it on a credit card if she had to. I mean, she was totally in debt.
That's the wrong thing to do. I don't encourage people to use a credit card and pay financial charges, period, whether it's for the church or otherwise.
We showed Mr. Baird one of the church's own solicitations.
That, many need to give large gifts resulting from the selling of houses, land, cars, jewelry, etc.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, one year we sold our home and gave a very large part of it to the church. And the reason is that we're so excited about getting the message out to the whole world. And so we ask people to sacrifice.
For some, the sacrifice may be too much. More than one half of those who join the church later leave, many disillusioned.
It may have started with the power of love, but from what I observed at the very top, it's the love of power.
We would like to reiterate that the International Churches of Christ is in no way associated with the mainstream Church of Christ. And we'll have much more from London.